vintage friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany, also known as the Very Vintage Vagabond, and today we're going to do another recipe in my kitchen. This time around we're going to do a recipe from the 1940s that I found with the number one ingredient, Spam. So the history on Spam, it was made by Hormel, and during the 1930s they were throwing away too much pork product, and they decided that they needed to start using all of the pork instead of being wasteful, especially coming out of a depression and into World War II. So they decided to start using the pork shoulder, but they didn't know how to use it. A lot of people didn't like to eat it because it was considered not the cleanliest of meat. Some other fun things about Spam was that because it was so incredibly cheap, and it had all the salt and the sugar in it for preservatives, it was shelf-stable meat, and it was able to go over to Hawaii and Europe during World War II. And because it was shipped over there to Hawaii, Hawaii is actually is the second largest consumer of Spam today, along with South Korea, because it was also used during the Korean War. It was sent over to our GIs to eat. They can carry it around in their packs for weeks and weeks, and they could just pop it open and eat it when they were hungry. So after the war, though, the soldiers and vets were pretty disgusted by Spam, so because they'd overeaten it, really, so it became like a once in a while type thing. But in the 60s, it reared back up again and became one of those ingredients that people were making into fun things, putting it into, dicing it up and adding it to hash, and then in 2009 during a recession, again, we saw a influx of Spam movement again in the United States because, again, it was cheap and you could do things with it. And then recently, in the past 10 years or so, it also made a return to our restaurants, in some of the fancy restaurants around that are adding it to very exquisite cuisine, and making it kind of making it really fancy, more of like a delicacy. So we see that too now with Spam. So, but today my recipe that I'm going to make for you comes from the 1940s. It is a Spam loaf. A lot of things were made in loaf pans back then. This is called a Spam and macaroni loaf. And I will put the ad up here on the camera so you can see it, but it says, for a harmonious taste blend, arrange alternate layers of Spam slices and macaroni mixture in a loaf pan. Bake in a pan of water at 375 until firm. Serve with broccoli blossoms, accented with your favorite sauce. Top billing with any audience. So there's that. That's what we're going to make today in the vintage kitchen. So stay tuned. I have my macaroni cooking behind me. It is Kraft macaroni, which was also Kraft macaroni came out in the 30s as well as the very first boxed macaroni make and serve at home fast meal. So I'm making that now, and we'll get started. Okay, so making my macaroni, which everyone knows how to do, but this is something fun that I learned this last year in quarantine. I think it was TikTok. Is you drain your noodles and you leave them in there, and you add your butter into the bottom of the pan. You turn your stove off. You add your butter, you add your milk, and you get that all to melt. Then you add your cheese. And now what you have is you don't have clumpy powdered cheese in your noodles because you have mixed it and melted it with your butter and your milk before you put the noodles in. Now, there's my macaroni and cheese. Okay friends, it's time for the spam. I have really gnarly glare. Here we go. So, believe it or not, when I went to the store the other day, the original spam was out of stock. So today we're going to use hickory smoke. Spam has come out with a whole bunch of different flavors over the years. Okay, alright. Well, it smells like pork. So, and we're going to go ahead and cut it into slices. It is very, the consistency is very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a hot dog is a good way to describe it. It's very soft. You can just, I don't even need a sharp knife. I could cut this with a butter knife. Okay, so we're going to grab our little pan here. I have this very pretty one I got from an antique store here in Boise. It has a really cute little detail in there. It is a Fire King is the brand. And we're just going to, the picture that I saw just kind of has them overlapping slightly. Very slightly here. And then it says to then layer it with your mac and cheese mixture. So I'm just gonna put this over that. Lay it out there. Okay. And I already have my, I already set my oven. The temp was 375. Okay, and we're gonna do, I get to make this again. Okay. Do this top layer just a little bit thinner. Well, there it is. So we've got spam and macaroni and cheese mixture all in there, stacked. Now, the recipe does say to cook it in a water bath. First off, it's like a baking dish, and you have a towel in there, okay? And I have my water here that I've boiled in my tea kettle. And so then you take your meat here, and then you're gonna pour in the water into this bath. I'm gonna put this in the oven. So 375 in the oven until it's firm. I'm not gonna lie, in researching this, spam grosses me out. But in all fairness, I've never actually tried it. So I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna do it. I'm going to adorn the dish with broccoli blossoms, or florets if you will, with my favorite sauce. The only thing that really sounded good on broccoli besides ranch was cheese, and since it's macaroni and cheese and spam, why not just clog those arteries a little bit further? And I got a Cheez Whiz sauce to place on the top of the broccoli. This is probably one of the healthiest meals I've ever made. I don't recommend anyone eat this on a daily basis. Said that it's going to take up to an hour, so see you in a little bit. It's better than I thought it would be. Definitely very fun to learn about spam, its origin, how it became what it is today. And interesting recipe. Broccoli and cheese is delicious. So all in all, besides it coming out all jumbled up and loosey-goosey because I didn't wait for it to cool, I'd give this recipe a solid C minus. I'd give the broccoli an A plus. That's what I have for today, guys. So if you like what you see, subscribe and like my channel. I have a Facebook page called The Very Vintage Vagabond as well. You can go and follow that for other content. And I also have Instagram as well under Very Vintage Vagabond. So go check me out, and if you like what you see, subscribe and leave me a comment. What you like, what you didn't like. Is there something else that you would like to see? And until then, as always, you are amazing in every single thing